Tell me about, and it could probably go on for an hour, but
Yep.
tell me about your experience. You were named NIPSCO president during the pandemic. You've essentially had to, grab a hold of this organization and all of its tentacles while doing all of that, not necessarily seeing everybody
Yep.
day to day, getting to know them. Tell me a little bit about the journey to get here, Firsten.
Yeah, so it's so funny. I mean, if I think back, and I get asked that question, pretty regularly, and so I've had time to reflect on it over the years. And it's so funny if I just think about, I was born right in the peak where Western Virginia, the state of Virginia, where it comes down and meets West Virginia and Kentucky, and it's literally in the Cumberland Gap, right where Daniel Boone, headed to Kentucky. I mean, came right through there, and just sort of in the middle of nowhere. A great place to grow up, a great community. But, it's sort of like the middle of nowhere, right? And it's like, how does this kid, end up in Northwest Indiana and, with the privilege that I have and the responsibility that I have. And, life sort of takes you along this journey, right? But I had the opportunity, as I was in engineering school, I had the opportunity because there was a large coal-fired power plant right near my house. When we had moved to West Virginia when I was 13, and there was a large coal-fired power plant near my house, and I had the opportunity to apply and get an internship while I was in engineering school in the summer at this power plant, right?
Okay.
So that's how I got introduced to the utility industry, right?
Yep.
And power generation and electricity generally, and then that sort of took me on this path. I spent almost 16 years at American Electric Power. So if you're out in South Bend, Fort Wayne direction, and Indiana Michigan Power, that's a subsidiary of AEP. I spent 16 years there and worked all over their system from Arkansas and Louisiana back through West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, and just got to travel and see and learn, had a lot of good mentors. And so one of my mentors that worked at AEP at the time, he got recruited to NIPSCO in 2010.
Okay.
And so that was my connection. We were getting ready to do these big environmental retrofits down at our Schaefer facility, and significant investment, and I happened to have had a lot of experience
With that.
And so that's how the connection was made. I ended up here, and I had an opportunity to move over and run the operations side of the business, and then did that for a few years, and then had the opportunity next to go and run our regulatory and our government affairs and our strategy team, which wasn't my, I was like a construction
That wasn't
guy.
your normal upbringing,
I'm this
yeah.
guy that like sort of, like farming and, working on stuff and just, being outside. And in all fairness, they said, hey, look, we think this is going to be a really good experience for you.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll give it a try. And, I found out, I tell people I found out two things from that experience. I spent a bunch of time in Indianapolis and found out two things from that. At first, I thought that the regulatory folks just, all they did was talk for a living, and that kind of thing. And what I figured out was it was a lot harder than I gave them credit for. And so I had to learn from that. And the second thing is I was able to make relationships and friends and contacts that in my prior path I would not have naturally run into those folks, and realize that how, just really good people that we have in Indiana. Some of our legislators that I've got to know on both sides of the aisle, just what super people they are. And we can easily get dismayed and a little discouraged by what we see in Washington D.C. and sort of how it comes to us anyway, right? I'm not with those people day to day, but how it comes to us. But I can tell you at the state legislative level, folks are 100% about what do we think is best for Indiana. So that sort of rounded out that sort of ability to understand the business, from all different areas. And then, so when they offered me the job as president, it was like, okay, well, we're in the middle of a pandemic, right? So the first thing I always like to do when I take over
Is meet people,
a new area is meet people.
Yeah.
Go out and see people and
can't
talk
see
to them
anybody.
and listen and hear, and it was like, okay, well, now we have to,
Yeah.
sit
You
at
could Zoom
home or
them.
wear a mask and do these things, but we did okay.
Yeah.
We did okay, and the number one thing that I focused on and I focused the team on was, listen, we have men and women that every day they don't have the option to sit at their home office, either new or newly formed, and Zoom in and complete their work, right? They're out there every day on the front line with a virus that we didn't know much about at the time. And we have to make sure that our number one thing every day
is support them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we got to do, and make sure that they can go do their job. And you know what? I go out and talk to them. I go out and visit them in the field and talk to them. They weren't bothered by it, right? They knew, hey, look, this is what we do. We're managing fine. You didn't hear the first complaint. As a matter of fact, I think they liked the fact in many ways
could go
that
out.
they were outside,
Yeah,
and they were in the fresh air, and they weren't crammed up. And we had to adjust operations a little bit, but our reliability will continue to improve through the pandemic. Our customer service and customer satisfaction metrics continue to improve through the pandemic, and that's just a testament to that people just they stepped up to the challenge. They didn't let it get them down. They didn't let it overwhelm them, and I just think that's really cool.